Okay, let's dive into this. We're looking at a really unusual legal case out of Tennessee today. Haltom v. City of Henderson Police Department.
Right. And what makes it, well, fascinating is how the plaintiff is approaching it.
Exactly. It's not just, typical legal arguments. He's weaving in some really deep spiritual ideas, things from Kabbalistic Zohar teachings.
Yes, and biblical references like 1 Samuel 8, even cosmic energy stuff, astrology, specifically pointing to June 2025.
It's quite a mix.
It is. And he identifies himself in a very specific way, both spiritually and legally. He's framing the police department's alleged actions as structural violence.
And spiritual wickedness. That's the term he uses.
That's the term. So it's this multi-layered claim, really challenging the standard legal box.
Right. So our goal here is to kind of navigate all that, understand his core claims, sure, but also this spiritual and cosmic lens he's using.
And what happens when these different frameworks, collide in a courtroom?
How do you even try to merge ancient texts and, astrological forecasts with a modern civil rights suit?
Okay, let's get into it. So the base level is his assertion of egregious constitutional violations by the police.
Okay, standard enough start.
But crucially, he argues these aren't just, say, procedural mistakes. He attributes them to these contrived, snaring forces of structural violence.
And that spiritual wickedness, again, he thinks that's actually influencing public agendas.
That seems to be the core of his spiritual claim, that there's an underlying spiritual dimension to the alleged legal wrongs.
Spiritual wickedness driving constitutional issues. Where is he pulling that specific connection from?
Well, one source he points to is the Bible, 1 Samuel chapter 8.
Okay.
That's the story where the Israelites demand a human king, rejecting, direct divine leadership. And Samuel warns them the king will just take things.
Take their resources, their kids, basically their autonomy.
Exactly. He sees that as a sort of timeless blueprint for the dangers when human authority isn't checked. He thinks that pattern is playing out now.
So any perceived overreach or taking by a government body, like the police in his view, fits that ancient warning.
That's how he frames it. These alleged constitutional smears, as he calls them, happen when power operates without acknowledging a higher moral or divine law.
That spiritual disconnect is the root cause in his view.
The hidden root, yeah.
Yeah.
Enabling the violations we see on the surface.
Okay, and the Zohar from Kabbalah, how does that layer in?
The Zohar adds another dimension. It teaches that sometimes even negative forces or leaders can, paradoxically, be part of a divine plan for correction. Tikkun olam.
Repair of the world.
Right. Leaders not with the light, acting like pharaohs, exerting control. He seems to view the actions he's challenging as stemming from people or systems that are not with the light.
Perpetuating this spiritual wickedness.
Correct.
So this completely changes how he sees his own role in the lawsuit, doesn't it?
Fundamentally. He's not just a plaintiff seeking damages. He positions himself as like an agent of light participating in this bigger correction process.
Tikkun olam again. The repair work.
Yeah, he even apparently offered Zohar books to the police department, called them Seeds of Tikkun Olam.
Wow, okay. And then there's the timing, June 2025. How does astrology fit?
He believes the astrological energies predicted for June 2025, themes like judgment, karma, truth revealed, systemic change resonate deeply with his case.
So he sees his personal legal fight aligning with these larger cosmic forces, pushing for accountability.
That's the idea, that the timing isn't random, it's part of a larger pattern of revelation and recalibration.
It's quite something, linking a legal schedule to astrology. But how does he actually try to make this work in court? I mean, courts are secular places. What legal tools is he using?
Well, he is using standard legal tools. Filing motions, citing rules like the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, case law like Celotex on summary judgment.
Okay, so the conventional machinery is there.
Yes. But a key move is citing Ballard v. U.S. That's a known case about protecting sincerely held religious or spiritual beliefs.
So he's using Ballard to argue the court has to take his spiritual framework seriously, even the spiritual trespass ideas.
Essentially, yes. To make space for his unique beliefs within the legal process. It's his legal hook for the spiritual dimension.
But he goes further than that, right? Making demands that challenge the court itself.
That's where the tension really spikes. He mixes conventional filings with things like questioning the judge's oath of office, or asserting his status as a living man versus a corporate fiction.
Concepts from outside the mainstream legal playbook.
Definitely. They directly challenge the court's foundational authority in a way.
And this diplomatic proposal. What's that about?
It's pretty unconventional. An attempt, he says, to find truth, healing, and collective accountability instead of just punishment.
So what does it propose?
Things like immunity for truthful testimony about alleged systemic problems, even suggesting an independent diplomatic arbiter. He calls it a path to systemic resurrection.
Systemic resurrection. And he wanted the court to use an AI tool.
Yeah, as an interpretive key, basically, to help them understand his perspective, why he sees these alleged violations as such deep spiritual affronts. It kind of highlights the gap he perceives between his worldview and the court's.
Okay, so wrapping this up, this case, through the plaintiff's eyes, is way more than just a lawsuit.
Right, it's framed as this quest for systemic resurrection, part of that tikkun olam, repairing the world.
Using biblical stories, Zohar concepts, identifying leaders as either with the light or like pharaohs fighting spiritual wickedness.
And seeing cosmic timing, like June 2025's themes of judgment, as validation for his fight.
And while he uses legal tools like Ballard to try and legitimize these beliefs in court,
His other demands challenging oaths, the diplomatic proposal for healing, they push right up against the system's boundaries.
it really lays bare that friction, doesn't it? When deeply held spiritual or even cosmic beliefs encounter secular law. So for you, the listener, maybe the question this leaves us with is, when you have claims of harm based on such different ways of seeing the world, one legal, one deeply spiritual or cosmic, can these frameworks ever truly meaningfully connect and address each other's understanding of justice and truth? Something to think about.